What's up, everybody? Welcome back here to AnthonyBryanTV. Anthony Bryan here, bringing to you this episode about the education system and my views on the school and higher education in general. And the next episode I'd like to upload is going to be about the great things about school and the education system. First point we're going to bring up here is taxes punish those who perform and reward those who don't perform. So think about this. So those who are the rich people that perform and work hard and employ tons of people, right? So they're bringing jobs to other people, changing many billionaires and millionaires, donating money and changing cities completely, just re-renovating and building it up from scratch. Yeah, here we have individuals who still say they owe more than what they already get. Having the rich pay for more taxes than what they should I don't think is a fair approach, especially when it comes to free college. I think that most of us, if not all of us, have been around long enough to know that in this country and many countries, nothing is for free, and somebody's going to be paying the price. And education outside of grade school, like a higher college or a higher education, is a privilege, not a necessity. College several years ago was meant for those who were privileged and not for those who didn't have money to go and get a higher education. To be fair, that is one of the main reasons why you can argue that no student should be deprived of any higher education or college. Everyone should have the free opportunity, because now we live in a world where if you do want to work for a higher, a big company or some strict company, maybe you do have to have this degree or experience. However, that being said, I still don't believe that college should be free. I think that nowadays with the financial aid and that big government funding right there that help along with Pell Grants and whatnot, I think that if you still have a hard time affording college, you should just take the debt and just pay, you'll pay for it. I think they do like 6 months after you graduate. If the money's still tight, just go out and try to work hard. I mean, there's people who put in more than 40 hours a week, and still have 4 classes and whatnot, and they still do it. It's just you got to do what you got to do. If you can't afford it, you either got to work more hours or you got to find another job that pays you so you can afford it. Going to college and getting a higher education is not necessarily the number one answer. The reason why I say this is because I learn each and every day. I mean, I know I'm a student, but generally speaking, you learn every day. I mean, I'm always learning something new. You can learn anything you put your mind to. Your mind's your only limit to your education and to your success, and basically your main brick wall in front of your ambition. You can learn anything you want if you put your mind to it and hard work. Why do you find the need to pay someone to do it, to teach you? Why not be able to try to teach yourself? Now, even though with those generous funds that we get, we still are finding ourselves digging ourselves in deeper pits financially. The only answer to that is either don't go to school and you're going to have to work really hard and educate yourself, or find another job that pays more or get more hours to make it happen, so you're not digging yourself into this big financial pit of debt. Yeah, sure, everyone has debt, but you want to minimize your debt or have no debt at all. Now, of course, I understand, me, myself, and, your neighbor next door or someone 2 miles down down this road, whatever. Like, we all came up and brought up in different situations, financial status, financial standards, different lifestyles, demographics and whatnot. And, one thing I've noticed that a majority of individuals that I know personally and not personally, if they're not millionaires or billionaires, they're way well off. They've made a lot of money, and they either never went to college or they dropped out because they found better ways of educating themselves instead of digging themselves into financial debt. So to say that, that a higher education or college degree is a necessity, I believe is wrong. Currently, our nation's college debt here in the U.S. is, as of 2014, was $1.2 trillion and is believed to be around $1.7 trillion today. That right there is a big problem. You have a lot of individuals, both graduates and undergraduates, who got their diploma, got their degrees, and either can't find a job that's related to what they studied, or they're finding themselves having to go in, from undergrad, they're trying to go and get become a graduate and get a master's degree because their bachelor's degree is basically worthless. They're just not cutting it for, what they want in their career path and choice of, job position. Now, I believe what schools do a good job is teaching students discipline. Essentially, how to be a great worker. Basically, you're an overpaid slave. Job, I like to think of as acronym of just over broke. They don't teach you financial literacy and the power of money and the way it works, and even practical skills. I mean, practical skills like filling out deposit and withdrawal slips at the bank, or even writing checks, balancing your checkbook, even the main skill of being a salesman. Salesmanship is key nowadays. I mean, think about it. When you're going to an interview for a new job, what are you doing? You are your product. You're the salesman as well. You're trying to market and sell yourself, sell your product, your experience, your knowledge, your education to this employer so you can get that job. Salesmanship is a skill that can't be taught, but there should be that awareness brought up in school. They really should teach students how to be a bit more better, critical thinkers, how to think outside the box, look at, become more like visionaries, look outside the box, see the bigger picture rather than just focus in on something that's, more practical, or kind of like taking the easy way out, going left because everyone's going left instead of going right. I believe that, becoming a good salesman, you're going to position yourself for success. You'll have less struggle if you don't have that salesmanship in you, like that skill of just being able to talk and negotiate, whether it's trying to, do well in an interview and get a job. Even when you own your own business, right? You got to be a good salesman. You got to customer service. You got to know how to talk with people and negotiate and get deals and partners and whatnot. If you can't do that, you're going to suffer and struggle greatly. The awareness that's brought up to us and we're exposed to in in school, college, grade school, whatever, is stuff like old formulas that are dated, that and how they're derived, and how Christopher Columbus came to America on the Santa Maria. Like, none of those skills there, or none of those exposures, like last that I could recall, helped me in the workplace. I mean, it's nowadays we're in a technology booming world nowadays where you don't need to know how to derive the formula. You have technology that'll solve that for you. All you got to do is just plug in a few numbers and hit a few buttons. Now, not to bash on like those kind of exposures, but like that's something a student, if they're really interested in, they could go and look up on their own time and educate themselves on their own time about that. It's not like a practical skill that somebody's gonna need that'll better themselves, than the next person in line for that new job position, or help them grow in the job industry, or even as a businessman or entrepreneur, knowing about stuff like that. Getting a higher education in college in general has become one of the, I think, greediest businesses. Take a moment, take a step back and have a look. They're juicing you for substantial amounts of money and funds, out of your income. Professors are qualified on paper, but are teaching students really poorly by just reading PowerPoints, and having them take notes off PowerPoint. Some professors don't even talk; they just put up the PowerPoint right up on the projector screen. You gotta take notes on it. Why should that be something a student is paying for when they could have just opened up a PowerPoint at home and done that themselves? Why pay somebody to do that for them? Basically, as a student, we are paying for someone to read to us because we're not qualified to do so. What I find that is bizarre is that, they have the audacity to tell you that if you miss class, you'll be penalized. It'll affect your grade. Students carry the burden when attending college or in higher education. They're paying for minimal quality educational experience by some professors, not all of them, and are robbed paying for books and classes. So let me get this straight. We pay about $1,500, $1,500 for just the class alone. That's not including any books or extra materials that you may need, like notebooks or calculators or whatnot, right? And yet we can't skip a class. We're gonna get penalized. It'll affect our grade. The student alone, by skipping multiple classes, not participating in lectures, is already penalizing themselves and limiting themselves to exposure of the material and the education you're trying to provide there's no need to really penalize them on their overall grade just because they're not showing up to class. You don't know what, just because you give somebody, you have a maximum of 3 absences that you could have this semester. It's like, God forbid, the person's got the flu, he's gonna have to take a day off. Some people might have to take a few days off. So there goes his 2-3 days that you're giving him just because he got sick, or even just emergencies, things people got to go out and do. Like you have to get a letter and show them and basically have them approve that you took that day off. Like I just think it's bizarre. You're paying all this money yet you can't do what you want. So it's okay for the professors to read off PowerPoints and not actually teach putting the material into practice so we could better ourselves and direct our attentions and studies towards specific material to perform well in the class and overall and test very good and get good grades on our tests and quizzes. Because there's little to no fundamentals taught in the class for the student to direct their attention towards and teach themselves, I don't think it's fair that a student's going to fail a class because of a test they did poorly on because the professor is basically not a good professor. I too am a university student. I think I mentioned earlier in the video, living through that, the financial struggle. I've taken loans and getting myself into some debt for my degree, and the poor educational experiences by some professors, not all professors. The reason I'm finishing my degree is because I see temporary value. I see the worth in the degree, but I do see temporary growth to get to my next level, to my next step where I want to be, my next checkpoint, like I've mentioned in previous videos, of where I want to be in my future. School for me is only the beginning of my future, but to most, I feel like it's the end. I feel like a lot of individuals, students want to just get their degree and they're set. That's it. They're just going to be hard workers their whole life and work for somebody else. And that's fine if that's, what you really want to do. But there's students that are going for degrees like entrepreneurship and, trying to be some kind of big time businessmen. And I find it crazy that because your real skills you get is out in the workplace. Even myself, I'm a business student as well, but I found it very valuable with internship opportunities and working in the business, in that workplace, in the work setting. You learn a lot more doing that than just relying on your degree. So I suggest to all students, do take internships and get the experience. You will not regret it. It will position you and put you in a lot better situation. Even when you're pursuing, going through the rest of your classes, you'll start to, professors will bring up stuff and you'll already know the answer to it because you practice it, real world situations. So now to all the individuals or students or wannabe, students that feel like they don't see any true value in any degree offered by any college, then I would say don't do it. It's not worth your time or the financial debt that you're going to put yourself in. That being said, you can make it, but you'll have to put in a lot of hard work. You'll have to have great work ethic and ambition. With those two, you can make anything happen. Thank you all for watching AnthonyBryanTV. As always, like, share, subscribe to this channel. Share this video with your family and friends. My next video that I'll be posting will definitely be on a lot of the great things about getting a higher education and going to college. Thank you all for watching. Anthony Bryan, out.